much for joining me. And today we're going to go through a very exciting and quick presentation regarding how to benefit from the foreclosures and discount mortgage notes. For those that don't know me, my name is Cherif Medawar. Here is how I look like. And my website, medawarinvestments.com, has a video presentation of this particular business model. And you can go to it and watch the video, and it even shows you how to do discount mortgage calculations. Pretty simple stuff. It's explained from the basics all the way to advanced, about an hour and a half on the video. So I also have the official website for the training and investment company is CMREI.com, which is Cherif Medawar Real Estate Investing. I invite you to go to it. You can become a member as little as $20 a month and see a lot of video trainings, a lot of education, syndication, commercial real estate, etc. I've been investing for over 20 years, and I also do group investing, which is called syndications. I have a whole training on it. But this training here is a business model regarding discount mortgage notes using bank foreclosures. Let me follow a very simple method that I like to use, which is start with defining the terminologies. What is a foreclosure? Very simply, this business model is based on post-foreclosure. The REOs is bank-owned properties. You see, anywhere in the United States, when somebody defaults after borrowing to purchase a home, what happens is they don't send a payment to the bank, and they go into stage one of the 3 stages of foreclosure, and that's called pre-foreclosure stage. Often you see that people stop paying the bank, but their loan balance is higher than the current market value of the home. Usually that period is from 90 days to about 6 months. It depends on the location of the property, what state it's in, and different states handle it differently. But usually in terms of time frame, it's a little different, but the whole process is the same. The bank sends a letter called notice of default to the defaulted party, the borrower, and they demand payment. And they send then a notice of sale and say, you haven't paid us, we're going to sell your home at the auction. Then anywhere in the country, it goes to the foreclosure auction on the county court steps. There is a representative for the bank that actually announces that a specific property at a specific address will be foreclosed on, and that people can bid and buy the property. The bank has the choice to start the bidding at the amount owed, higher or lower. But usually they don't go higher, they go at the amount owed or below that. And if it gets bid higher, then that's a whole different story. The bank gets paid with the late fees, penalties, accrual of interest. Any extra balance goes to the actual person that was in default. Well, in today's market, I don't have to tell you, the banks even do the opening bid at lower than the actual loan amount owed. So the bank loses a lot of money, but the deal is done in all cash, so at least the bank bails out. The problem is, a lot of times when the property goes to the auction and it gets announced, guess what? There are hundreds of properties being sold, and the people that show up at the auction, they got to do some research, they got to know what they're doing, so they get scared, and usually don't have enough cash, so it doesn't sell. Once the property has gone through stage 1, pre-foreclosure, stage 2, the foreclosure auction, and it hasn't sold, it becomes a bank-owned property. It's what's called the post-foreclosure stage. That's REO, real estate owned. It goes to the non-performing asset department of a bank, and the banks usually within a period of time, they quickly try to contract with some local brokers like Coldwell Banker, Century 21, etc., and they list these properties, and they try to expose them to the market. And a lot of times the brokers tell the bank, look, this property is dilapidated, it's got problems, got back taxes, liens, needs rehab. So the banks don't want to deal with the normal sale through a broker because there is liability and problems. So what they look for is what's called bulk buyers. These are people that are like me or big financial institutions that will come in and buy a bunch of properties in bulk, hence the term bulk and volume, maybe from 25 properties, as low as 25 properties, all the way up to hundreds of properties in one bulk, and they get a deeper discount, and this is done nationwide. This business model focuses on post-foreclosures, when actually the banks have foreclosed on the properties. What I do, I take these properties, fix them up, and when I sell them, I do what's called a seller carryback. So let me define that term. Seller carryback is when I sell it to somebody, an end buyer, an end user, somebody's going to live in the property. And instead of having that person that's going to live in the property, let's call him or her the end buyer, instead of having them go to a bank to get a loan and become a conventional transaction and having to put a big down payment, have to have perfect credit and qualify, etc., what I do is I make it easier for them. I just become the bank as well. I sell it and I carry back the financing. So I do a little piece of paper called a mortgage note. It's also called a contract for deed. And I tell the people, look, you can buy it from me and make payments every single month. I will not give you the ownership of the property until you pay me off. So it's a contract that you will pay me over a period of time, a specific amount of money every single month, and then I'll give you the deed, which is the ownership of the property. Again, it's called contract for deed. It's also called LC or land contract. The end buyer comes in and is making an actual payment monthly, and they owe me, the seller, the payment over a period of time. And that payment is a PITI. It's a principal, interest, tax, and insurance. The property tax has to be paid also monthly, and property insurance we haven't paid monthly. So when I sell the property, I know that they're going to pay me monthly the amount I sold the property to them at, plus interest on top of that because I'm waiting. And they will pay the property taxes since they're the owners, and they'll also pay property insurance in case the property gets burned or something happens. I get paid off, just like a bank. I become really the bank. But the difference is I actually don't give them the deed. I don't give them the ownership until they pay me off. And I usually charge 8% interest over 30 years, 360 months. Now, they usually don't have to stay 30 years in the house. Statistically, in the United States, people stay around 5 years, then they refinance and pay off the loan, or they sell the property and pay off the loan. So although it's amortized, that means it's scheduled to be paid off on 30 years, they will probably pay me for a few years, then sell it or refinance. And if they don't, I'll probably call them and encourage them to go refinance or get a new loan. And usually the end buyers that I get don't have the best credit. They put a small down payment, and I make their payments, PITI, equal to or similar to neighborhood rent. So these buyers end up becoming very loyal buyers. They want to stick to the payment plan because it rebuilds their credit within a couple of years. It builds equity for them as the market comes back. They feel that they have really equity opportunity here to build their net worth, so they take care of the property. And I, as the seller, benefit that I don't have to pay commission. I can sell fast. I can sell at the market value, and I give an opportunity to somebody to benefit from that. And again, I said I don't give them the deed. I don't give them the ownership. Hence the term contract for deed. The deed is the ownership. The title is how you take ownership. Let's say I give you a deed for a property and you take title as a single person. Or I give you a deed for the property, but you take title as husband and wife. Or take title as a corporation, LLC. So how you take title is just how you take ownership. But the actual deed itself is the ownership. That's the document that proves that you own. So when I sell the property as a seller, I have a company called Original Resources. I carry the note, which is the mortgage note, contract for deed. The end buyers come into the property, commit through a contract to make a payment every single month, principal, interest, tax, insurance. They make the payment to a specific company that I tell them. That company collects the payment on my behalf, sends me an email telling me the payment was received and deposited into my bank account. And I enjoy a very nice income plus interest on selling a property, and I keep the deed. Why do I keep the deed? In case they default. If they default, meaning if they miss a payment, I don't have to go through the process a bank goes through and foreclose, send pre-foreclosure and foreclosure, auction, all this. I don't have to do any of that. I just have to, instead of foreclosing, because I have the deed, I can just evict. I can contact the end buyers and say, you're in default. You are in breach of contract that you signed and notarized with me. You can no longer stay. You have no right to stay. And I just evict them. Now I've done over 1,400 notes to this date. We've done that program since 2009, where I bought properties from the bank, fixed them up and sold them, and carried the note. And we've had very little problems with people because people like to make a payment to own instead of rent. So if they can't make the payment, it's very amicable. We can work it out through a very friendly, if you will, eviction, and then we can resell the property to somebody else. So the post-foreclosure opportunity that happened is really, I was approached by banks, and what I found out is the banks, because I have a lot of cash, they said, listen, Cherif, we have prices here, and these specific prices are on Jacksonville, Florida. They said, look, we got a package of homes that have been foreclosed on. Average old price of these homes, $120,000. These homes were appraised at $120,000 a few years ago. They said, we have loans on average, $90,000 per property. And the properties today that are fixed up, that are nice, sell at $60,000. Say, we got a problem. If we take these properties and foreclose and lose money on the loan, we can only sell them at $60,000. They said, Cherif, come over and buy them in bulk. Buy a big quantity from us and buy on a regular basis, and we're going to give you a big discount. We may give you these properties at maybe $17,000, $15,000, $20,000. When you take them, you will have to pay the back taxes, any liens, any code enforcement, any utility liens, any rehab, repairs, and probably that will cost you around $20,000. But Cherif, when you're done, you'll be able to sell it at $60,000. I said, well, this is great. I got into the program. We started with the Midwest and then moved it into Florida, and now we're in California. But now you understand the numbers, and here's what I've done. So you have a concept on what the system is all about. What I do, I buy the REO homes, the bank-owned property homes, in bulk, and I rehab them. I fix them up. Then I sell them easy terms. I do a contract for deed to people in the neighborhood that want to live and own a home. And I carry the mortgage. I do a contract for deed at 8% interest for 30 years. Now, 8% may sound high for some people, but remember, if they don't have the best credit, I'm not charging them 12% hard money. I'm charging 8%. Make it very doable, very affordable for them to own the property and make a payment they can afford. And they sign on the dotted line of the contract for deed. They get into the property, and they may not have the best credit, but guess what? They have an opportunity now to rebuild their credit. They have an opportunity to rebuild their credit and to build equity in the home. Then what I do is I collect the payments through a third-party company. They send the payment, principal, interest, tax, insurance, make the payment reasonable enough to be seen as rent in the neighborhood. So this way, instead of them paying rent, because usually they were renters, they see this opportunity, so they move on to this house, become owners, and they build equity. And what I do then, I take these mortgage notes that are secured against the real estate, and I present them in my training seminars, and I tell the students that want to be investors, I say, listen, instead of going out there trying to find a property from the bank and negotiate a good deal and try to fix it, then hopefully you can sell it. And you're afraid by the time you pay all this and holding costs and repair costs and commissions, you will not be able to get the prices I get in bulk, and you'll not be able to pay the low prices I pay because I do fixing even in volume. You may actually end up getting stuck with the property. Instead, you can buy the property that I sold and carry the note on, but instead of buying the actual property, you can buy the financing at a discount. I will discount the financing and give you a chance to control a cash flow instrument secured against the property. And if people default, you just got the property fixed up for pennies on the dollar, and you can resell it with a note. I have a service company that will help you, or you can just sell it all cash. Everybody wins. So the notes are sold to student investors at a discount, and the discount gives the student that bought the note at a discount a huge cash flow, because the actual cash flow becomes 12%. Remember, these people are paying 8% interest on 30-year note, let's say on a $60,000 property. When you get the property note from me at a discount, so instead of paying $60,000 to get that note that's worth $60,000, you get it for, let's say, $43,000, so you got it at a discount, you actually will have an income coming to you, but the income, even though it was 8% on $60,000, it becomes 12% on $43,000. So it's a beautiful way to have secured cash flow against real estate with a very low to no hassle way of investing. And by the way, you can keep the note for a while, or keep it forever, or keep it for a few months and then turn around and sell it to somebody else for more money. Well, if you paid $43,000 for a note worth $60,000 and you're getting 12%, you know that you can flip that note for $50,000, and the buyer that will pay you $50,000 for the $60,000 face value of the note will be getting 10% interest. I'll explain it further in a minute. Suffice it to say that if you buy that note at a discount, you have everything in place, and you even have the deed. It gets transferred from my company, Original Resources, to you, and they are paying you principal, interest, they're paying the property taxes, and they're paying the property insurance. And you have steady cash flow. So very simply, the business model works like this. An REO property sells to an end buyer at $60,000, give or take, using a contract for deed note. The end buyers that live in the house make payments, principal and interest at 8% interest. That's $440 a month on a $60,000 note, which totals over 30 years $158,500. That's a lot of payments for somebody over the years. But it's affordable monthly payments because the note is created for 30 years, 360 months. And the end buyers, they pay the taxes and the insurance. And you, as an investor, purchase these notes at a discount from me at $42,805. There is a specific calculation. I use a financial calculator, and I explain that on MedawarInvestments.com video. You can see how I do it, a very specific calculation. So the investors can get 12% interest on the note secured against real estate. Very simple business model. Yet not everybody can do it. You have to have a relationship with the banks, you have to have cash, you have to show the bank you have experience, you have to show the bank you've done it before, and that you're not going to buy these homes and flip them as is. You're going to buy them, fix them, and either rent them or create end buyers in them by carrying a note. And I've done all that since 2009. We've done this over $25 million in transactions. The payment that is made by somebody, look at this as a sample of it. The third-party company that I use has been in business over 30 years. It's bonded and insured. It's called E-Note Servicing. And what they do is they collect the payment from the people in the house, the end buyers, and then they send me an email showing me that the people made the payment. So I get to see that on my bank account, and the email that I open shows me exactly the following. It shows the account number. It is the payor, Jerry and Melissa. This balance of loan was $41,380. They made a payment of $500. Then it spells out for me the $500. $55 of it was the principal. The interest was $344. So see, that adds up to almost $400. And the reserves, which is tax and insurance, is $100. So it also gives you year-to-date how much you received in principal and how much you received in interest. It shows you everything you want to see on the property address. And actually, it gets deposited into my bank account, here in this case, Western Bank. And they charge $10 a month for this service, $120 a year. Not bad when I tell you this is done. Number one, they do the email with the quick recap here. Number two, they actually deposit the money in my bank account and send me the email. Number three, they have an online service where I can see all the history of any of the properties. And number four, at the end of the year, what they do, they send me a recap. You, Original Resources Inc., Cherif Medawar, you receive so much in interest, so much in principal on this property. You have also in reserves so much for your property taxes and so much for the insurance they paid. And I write one check to the property taxes that I already collected the money. I write one check for the insurance, and we're good for the next year. And they also send the end buyers a statement saying you paid so much for the actual property insurance, so much property taxes, so much interest, and so much principal. This way, the actual end buyers are happy. They know exactly what they're doing. They're building equity. They're actually reducing their debt. And we are in full compliance with what banks do. Very simply set up for $10 a month. That is $75. One time a $75 fee to set that up with E-Note Servicing. The rest is just $10 a month. If you hire an accountant to do that recap for you, they will charge you at least $200-300. So I can tell you, you can't beat the $10 a month for that service. So it's all set up, and here's a sample property. I use this one because it's sold at an even amount. The note was $60,000 even. Comparable sales around 63, 57 in that area. The property is 2141 Wright Avenue Jacksonville, Florida. I like Jacksonville. It's a good city in the state of Florida. And again, 8% interest, 360 months, which is 30 years. Principal and interest is $440 a month. And the tax and insurance, $265.17. They paid since March 1st, 2011. Now, this property is available. You can buy it it was available. The person that bought it paid $42,716. So it's a discounted note. They got a property worth 60-some thousand. The financing on it is 60, and they bought the financing at a discount at 42. This gives them 12% interest, which is a wonderful cash return on their cash invested, because they pay a check. You pay me a check, $42,716, and you get 12%. I even have people get home equity credit line at 4% or whatever to buy these notes at 12, and then they pay off the credit line in a third of the time and enjoy the rest of the income for 30 years. Let me tell you, if you take 440.30 times 12, that's what you're getting in principal and interest. It's $52.83 a year. Remember, the property tax and insurance that you collect, you end up collecting, but at the end of the year, you end up paying out. So you just pass through expense. They pay it to you, and you pay it out to the property taxes and the property insurance because you have the deed. But the beauty of this is you just got 12% interest. And if you take the $52.83.60, which is the income you're getting per year, divided by the $42,716 you paid to buy the property, the note, you're actually getting 12.2% in cash flow. Just a wonderful way to get good, strong cash flow secured against real estate. I have seen people trying to do this. People go to Las Vegas, Nevada to find properties. They buy ugly homes. They try to fix them. Then they can't flip them. Why? Too many foreclosures in Las Vegas, Nevada. Too many foreclosures in Phoenix, Arizona. I am very picky on where I go, what I do, and how it's done. And I've learned a great deal in the last 3 years. And this program has worked very, very well and has evolved through the years. Also, I've seen people trying to buy shopping malls and hotels and apartment buildings. You can get 12% sitting home on a note where somebody's paying you, and if they don't pay you, they lose their rights to occupancy. They lose everything. Way more powerful than any renter. You are in a landlord position, but you're an actual bank. You're literally a bank. So you're not a landlord with tenant. You're literally a bank with an owner in a home making the installment payments to you. Extremely powerful. And don't forget, you can flip the notes to somebody else. If you ask somebody, hey, listen, look, I have a $60,000 note right here, and you show them the packet I'll give you, which will have the property address, the property pictures inside and out, the history of the end buyers. We choose end buyers that have two things. They have a job history, they have a job, and they've been actually paying rent of equal to or higher than the payments to own this house. So if they've been paying rent, in this case here, $440 plus $265, this is $705 a month. If we have the buyers there, they've been paying rent $800 a month on a similar home in the neighborhood. You know, if they paid rent on time for over a couple of years, they're going to pay to own, especially if they pay same or less. So it's an extremely great way to help these people rebuild their credit, give them an opportunity to come in, and we give ourselves a chance to get cash flow. And for me, I can keep these notes. They produce very good income. My cost on the properties is a little bit less than $40,000. That's why I'm able to sell it to you at $42,000 and discount it. So I have some built-in profit. I'm able to do it again, keep building rapport with the banks, keep my students with cash flow and success stories. Like we have over 1,000 video success stories on YouTube, and we've done over $25 million in business on these notes. So what are the three possibilities when you buy a note from me? Well, only three things can happen. They can keep paying you for 30 years, or they can pay you for a few years, then they refinance or sell, or they can actually default. Let's take a look at the numbers. On a $60,000 note that you bought from me at a discount at $43,000, you actually receive $158,500 over 30 years of income. Well, that's wonderful. You paid 43, received 158. Well, most likely they will not pay for 30 years. They will pay for a couple of years, usually maybe even longer, like maybe 4 years, 5 years. Then they will refinance or sell. Well, then the numbers even look great. because every year they're paying you about $5,300 in income. That's principal and interest coming to you, $5,300 year one, $5,300 year two. Let's say you just collected for 2 years, and then they sold the property and paid you off, or they refinanced and you got to pay off. You get a payoff balance. Your loan was originally $60,000 to them. They owed you the 60, but they paid for 2 years, so they reduced the loan from 60. It goes down to $58,900 because the first few years they're paying mostly interest. So if you got a loan payoff of $58,900 plus you got paid $10,600, add this and that, you got $69,500. Conclusion: if you invested $43,000 and got back $69,500, your net is $26,500. That's 61.6% yield for 2 years. Guess what? If they pay you one more year before they refinance or sell, you just collected an extra $5,300. That's $15,900 total income from the principal and interest coming to you, and the payoff balance is $58,400 on the third year. That means 70. You look at it this way. You actually go $74,300 is what you got between the actual income you received for 3 years and the loan payoff balance, minus the $43,000 you originally paid to buy the note. I'm rounding it up. It's $42,000 something, but I'm rounding it up because you have closing costs for $150. So $43,000 to actually buy the note. So the difference is $31,300. That's profit of 72.8%. Huge yield for holding something that gives you cash flow for 3 years. And that is the way to actually flip notes if you want. Look at this. On a $60,000 note at 8% for 30 years, you buy it at $43,000, give or take, because the closing costs are there. Let me show you. I just showed you that on year 2, you collect the principal and interest. Year 1, payoff balance goes from 60 to 59,498. So total between what you got paid off, the 5,300, between principal and interest, plus the balance payoff, you got 64,000, 21,000 net profit, 50% profit year 1. Well, I don't think people are going to refinance and cash out on year 1, but if they do it on year 2, you got 62% yield. If they do it on year 3, 73% yield, because you got 3 years of income plus a big loan payoff. That's 74,000 against the original 43 you paid. You got 31,000 net profit. If that number is small for you, you can buy 10 and buy 5. The point is, these numbers don't lie. And the way it works is the longer you keep collecting income, the actual bigger the payoff is going to be. On year 4, you have 84% yield. Look at year 5. Year 5, you almost got 100% yield. That means divided by 5 years, you got 20%, because they say in 5 years people refinance and cash out. In 5 years, you got average 20% per year. And people tell me, I want to do tax liens. Are you out of your mind? You buy a tax lien, you don't even know what the property is doing, why somebody didn't pay property taxes against it, and then you don't get any cash flow. You just wait for the payoff whenever they pay it off, if they pay it off. And if they don't pay it off, you got to go and force foreclosure through the government. And when you force foreclosure and you get the property, you have 2 issues to deal with. You have what's called a redemption period. You got to wait till the redemption period per state expires. And then you also have to perfect the title, because when you get a title through tax lien, it's not done correctly. You got to wait to perfect it, which costs a lot of money. And if you got a property that has issues, now you can have code enforcement. Tax lien is a good idea, but try to apply. Good luck. Here is a property that already I got it in bulk. I fixed it for you. I put an end buyer. I even give you a service company to handle anything you want, other than a collection company that does everything for you online. And you got a title of a property free and clear with no liens. And you collect income. And if you want to keep it, great. They can keep paying you for 30 years, pay you 2 to 5 years, then refinance. And I'll even show you on the defaulted part, you still come out ahead, and how you can do it. But let me show you, year 6, it gets better. Year 7, it gets even more exciting. On year 8, let me tell you, year 8, you already got all the money you paid in. for the note, and you still got 22 more years of income, and talk about a huge yield. It's just insane how banks have been making money and how we can be like banks. And these are opportunities that will probably never repeat themselves, because it's just the way the banking system has worked the last few years, and with the debacle, with all the mortgages and all this, it's an opportunity that may not last too long. As a matter of fact, it's harder today to get the notes and get the properties and all this. So what's the third possibility? That they default. Well, wait a minute. If they miss a payment, you are the bank. So you can modify their note. You can tell them, look, I'm going to throw in one payment at the end. You can tell them, listen, I want you to leave. You're in breach of contract. You can do it very amicably, cash for keys. You can resell the property all cash. You can rent the property. Most of the payments we do PITI are less than Section 8 in many parts of the country, because they focus on 3-bedroom, 1-bath homes. And by the way, if you don't want to deal with any of this, I have a service company. Service company for $150 can handle the entire process for you. They can serve people. They can negotiate it. They can make it happen. They're experts. They've been doing it for 3 years, handling over 400 students that have notes. Over 1,400 notes have been issued. So let's calculate this. What if you actually pay you just 1 year in default? Well, 1 year you only collected $5,300, and now you call the service company. So the service company will do the eviction and the cleaning up for you, and that's going to cost you on the high end $1,500. Let's say you got to pay them for cash for keys, and you got to really clean up the property again. Well, it costs you $1,500. Now what do? You got a couple choices. Choice one, you can resell the property on a contract for deed again. You can do it through the service company. They put the signs out. They get all the calls to qualify a good buyer and run it by you. You approve it. It costs you $1,500 flat. You collected $5,300. It costs you $3,000 between $1,500 evicting and cleaning, $1,500 reselling the property. They did all the work for you. You're still ahead by $2,000. You have a new note for 30 years. Again, with income coming to you. And maybe you could have sold the property a little bit higher if the market is recovered. All right. Choice number two, you say, you know what, I don't want to create another note. Now they left. I'm glad I got the property at $43,000 discount through the note. Now you resell the property through a local realtor. You just go online, put Jacksonville, put the specific zip code your property was in, talk to a realtor, say, look, I got a property. It was sold at $60,000 easy terms a year ago. They paid me for a year. I just want to resell it. Sell it at $60,000. I don't want more. Just sell it to me at $60,000. Real estate commission, 6%. Closing cost, 2%. So you calculate that's 8%. 8% on $60,000, that's $4,800. Total cost, $4,800. Plus, remember, you had to pay for the eviction and the cleaning, $1,500. So you're $6,300 out. You collected $5,300, but you paid $6,300. Well, you sell the property for $60,000, so you're really netting $59,000, because if you collected in rent, I should say, in principal and interest payments, $5,300, and you actually had to pay $6,300 to get them out, you're out $1,000. But you sold the property at $60,000, you're netting $59,000. Originally, you paid $43,000 for the note. You get $16,000 net profit in 1 year. That's 37.2% yield, because they defaulted. You made 37% money, and they defaulted. Say I'm wrong. I'm really wrong, and I'm rounding things up. Let's say you just panic. You got the property and you call the realtor and tell the realtor, sell it. Dump that property at $55,000. No. Dump it at $50,000. I want it out now. Find me somebody take it at $50,000. 20% almost below market. Sell it at $50,000. So you didn't make $16,000. You only made $6,000. Well, if you take a little calculator, let's see here, $6,000 divided by the original $43,000 that you paid, you ended up with 13.95%, almost 14% return, because they defaulted. Well, I have some investors that tell me, I hope the guy defaults, I just want to flip the property. You don't have to. We want people to stay in homes. We want to help these people. That actually, as the market starts coming back, and there are less and less ways for these people to find opportunities for homes, they will stick to the payments. You're able to make money, and the notes become more and more valuable. So, by the way, if they pay for 2 years, not just 1 year, and then default, your yield go through the roof, because you're selling it at full value at 49.5% yield. Year 3, you collect 3 years of income. and then you sell it 61%. Year 4, let me tell you, year 4 you will be praying that they leave. You will even work a deal with them, tell them leave, so you can flip the property, make 86% on your money. So the investing steps, those that are excited want to do this, you go to buycashflownotes.com. I put all the notes right there for you. Put the discount right there. Anybody can see it. Buycashflownotes.com. Select a note. Tell me which one you like. The one that is first paid is first sold. We put right away pending once I receive the money. And just email me. You don't have to do anything else. Just email me and say, Cherif, I like the note on property on the Boy Street, okay, in Jacksonville. I like this one in Sacramento. And what I'll do is I have the contract online, and you can see the contract online as well. I'll just fill out the information. I'll shoot it to you by email. It takes me 2 minutes. It's all like plug in online. I'll shoot it to you, and you can literally just sign it, send it back. We send you the packet. And it's very, very simple. We send you the packet within a few days, and it takes a couple of weeks to get the deed, and that's it. You manage your note business. We have somebody in the office, Edgar, will call you, and Edgar will help you fill out the documents. It's just 2 pieces of paper, one for ENS to be able to collect for you and place the money into your bank account, and one for the insurance to transfer the insurance of the house in your name. Remember who pays for the insurance? The end buyers pay the tax and insurance. So all the paperwork is even handled for you. Service companies there. This is a great way if you have a son or a daughter, a teenager, you want them to enter into real estate, get to know real estate. It's the easiest and safest way for them to get to know it. If you're new in real estate, you've been daydreaming for years, taking seminars right and left, hoping to go talk to the bank and make a deal in an REO and living that fantasy. Somebody else going to give you, this guy was on TV the other day, I'm going to give you a proof of funds and you can go to the bank. All these fantasies, let me tell you the reality. You can do it right here. At a discount, everything handled for you, and make it happen. So those that are excited about this, I want to show you some properties. So let's just look at what I have here in inventory of properties. Let's start with Florida ones. And those, I put them in PowerPoint, but you'll see them online. Florida notes here is, for example, LRB Way. So here's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, Jacksonville, and I'm sorry, Lakeland, and this one sold $81,000. It's a pretty decent home. Again, 30 years, 8%. They're paying $594.35. They've been paying since October last year. So you got October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So, all right. So we got October, November, December, January, February, March. So we got 6 payments already on this one. And they're paying tax and insurance $158.85. I'll discount the note at $57,662. How do I come up with $57,662? I use a financial calculator. We've done that. It is online. You can see how I've done it. I explain it at medawarinvestments.com. Just using a simple HP 10B2, we do a calculation to discount the note so you can get 12% interest. And the yearly cash flow is $7,132, which is $594.35 times 12. Guys, those that are buying this, you'll be buying 353 payments left at $594.35. That's total $209,000 of payments coming to you. Your initial investment $57,662. Closing cost $450, and you're up and running at $58,000. Getting literally $7,132 a year, no hassle, simple follow-up with paperwork, managing your note, and we got a service company for you. Moncrief Road, 2056. This one, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, pretty decent property, $64,500. Payment $473. Occupied. They've been paying since December of last year. $45,944 is your investment. It's a discounted note. And you're collecting $56.79 per year, again 12% interest. And this is a nice little property. I like this cute one right here on Bennett Street, 2116. It's a very cute property. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. These people we just sold it in February, and they made the February payment. $63,500 it sold, and you can get it for $45,258. Again, it's discounted to get you 12% interest. You will see this one on buycashflownotes.com right here, the website, so you can invest in this one. Summer Street, 454 Summer. This one, 63,500. This one, payment is 465.94. Tax and insurance, 169.84. And again, 45,245 is discounted for you. You're getting 356 payments coming to you. And Hardy, this one has been paying since May of 2010. I've had it in my portfolio. I was happy with the end buyers. They pay, they don't miss. Love these guys. This one, I'm not discounting it for 12% interest. It is seasoned. It's 1 year season. So the discount is to 11% interest only. You're buying a property here. Any property that has seasoning of 1 year, you can resell it in the open market at 8%, 9%, 10%. This one, I'm going to give it to you at 11%. It's a $44,810 selling price, discounted to students at $35,782. You buy $35,782. You got a history of people paying on time for a year. It's a small one, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, but it's a nice family. They pay, they never miss. You will see the history online. And 11% interest. The cash flow for you is 12.56. That means when you divide the total income, $374.81, principal and interest, times 12, it's right here, divided by what you're going to pay, cash flow is 12.56. But the interest portion is 11%. So what a great way to invest. I have people buying shopping malls, they can get 6%. I have people investing in homes, fixing them, rehabbing, or flipping them. By the time they pay the taxes and net everything, they can even get 10%. So those are the Florida notes. I like Jacksonville. Forbes magazine last year in February 2011 rated Jacksonville #3 in terms of happiest U.S. cities to work. Average salary $55,000, and work-life balance 3.56. Job security pretty high, higher than San Francisco job security and higher than San Jose job security. Unless you work for Facebook or Apple, it's a whole different story there. Right here, Jacksonville has been a pretty good property mill, if you will, for us. We've been able to really control the market there. We've sold quite a few properties, and it's just a nice package for students that want to invest in this. Let me quickly show you the California properties, then I'm going to open it for questions. And here's Sacramento, 43rd Avenue. Here's a property. This is a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Here's the capital of California right there for you. $136,000 it's sold for. 8% interest, 30 years. Payment. We'll try to make the payments always $1,000 for these guys to keep it with Section 8 in these in the city of Sacramento. So $1,000 plus tax and insurance. Let me tell you, $1,177 to own a home in the state of California is insane. You buy the note at a discount, $97,162. Yes, you are buying a note on a California home that is occupied. People are living in it, making it a payment of $1,000 a month. Gives you $12,000 a year. That's 12% interest on your investment, and cash flow is 12.35. You have 358 payments on this. That means you're buying $358,000 in payments coming to you for $97,000. I tell you, these homes were appraised previously, like in 2005 and all this, $280,000, $270,000. Sacramento got hit very hard, and I was able to buy in bulk there, dealing with banks. It took me 2 years. I've been waiting on the sideline for California, and we finally did it a few months ago, and now it's finally, we're caught up with all the people that have been waiting for notes, and now we're able to post them on the website. It is 7109 Canaveral Way, North Highlands, California. It's pretty decent. $136,000, 8%. Again, same numbers. You get it at $97,162. Same numbers. Good people there. This is a very strong program for Sacramento. Rancho Cordova, also in the greater Sacramento area. Sonata Drive. Sounds like a song there. Sonata Drive, $136,283. Sold it. Nice family lives there. $97,162. By the way, you can look. All these homes are in pretty decent shape. We do all the rehabbing. We get a certificate of occupancy. I mean, these properties are clean, ready to move. This one, I've had it in my portfolio. I've had it for a while because actually I was enjoying the $1,000 a month income. And this one actually had sold December last year. So I received the December income, January, February, and just received the March income. This one, 97,076. This one is 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. By the way, you buy a note like this from me, I show you something like this. Let me show you here. I think I have it open. Yeah. So I send you ENS, Evergreen Note Servicing, the company that receives the payment, and this is on that property. Okay. And I told you it's sold. The payments right here is the history. I received December payment. Here it is, received, paid on the 1st, okay? Account paid to the 1st. So December payment, here it is, 1210, 91.44 is principal, 908.56 interest, right? You see that? December payment, no late fees, nothing. Reserve, I keep for tax and insurance, 210, right? So they owe me 136,283, now 136,192. The next payment for January, 1210. Here it is again. Here's the principal and interest. Right there, the reserve. You see the loan balance goes down very little. Third payments, so December, January, February. I just received March. I had printed this before they posted March. So you get to see the history of the account. That everything is paid on time. There's no late fees. I mean, how about that? I mean, I love it. These people paid 3 payments, $3,630. Yet their loan balance went from 136,192 to 136. I mean, it's a joke. It went down $300, but they paid 3,600. This is because most of what people pay is interest. What a great thing to be the bank. So that's this property. Sorry, I don't know where it went here. Okay, there we go. That's this property right here. Again, 1,000 plus 210 tax and insurance, and I showed you the history of the payments. They're paying on time. This is the third-party company, bonded, insured. They've been 30 years in the business. Let me tell you, anytime these people want to refinance that live in North Highland, the Aero Court one, they want to refinance, we send them to a local bank. The local bank calls Evergreen Note Servicing. They get to see in black and white the people have been making payments on time, even if they had bad credit. Doesn't matter now. They can actually refinance for them. They have a history of paying. 2 years later, they improve their credit. And that's what I expect these people 2, 3, 4 years from now refinance and pay off. You can buy that note from me, by the way, at $97,000. And the last one, this is a small one. This is a very interesting deal. We did it 39th Street, Sacramento. This one is the only one I have for 20 years. Sold for $101,000. It's a 20-year note. They've been paying since January. You can buy it at $76,879. We'll give you a nice 12% interest. I tell you guys, Sacramento at these prices, we will probably never see them again. So buycashflownotes.com. Let me see if I can take you to the website. I think I had it open here. Yeah, here's the website. Buycashflownotes.com. You click on properties, you're going to get right here. And I put for you here the prices, the actual discount. So it shows you the address on the Jacksonville ones, what the loan amount is, what your discount is right there. And you can scroll down all the way. See a lot of, you can buy now, pending, and all this good stuff. Now, as you know, this program, I've had it since 2009. We've done hundreds and hundreds of properties. I scaled it down a big deal because now we're dealing with California, so it's a lot better for all those involved. You want to buy any California notes, it's just a beautiful opportunity. You want Jacksonville, you can buy 2 Jacksonville for the price of 1 California. So whatever works for you, I'll work with you. And in closing here, before I take some question, I want you to know what I'll do for you. The investing steps, again, go to buycashflownotes.com, select a note, and email me. I'll send you the contract. And, you fill it out, you just sign, and we'll send you the packet. You have 7 days to change your mind after you get the packet. I mean, if you review anything you don't like, you're under no obligation to buy. You don't have to worry, give you a full refund. You can Google me, look at YouTube, go to youtube.com and put Cherif Medawar. You will see how many success stories we've had. So you can manage your business and keep the notes, or you can turn around and resell the notes and make a lot of money. I mean, any note that you have, you can turn around and sell it at 10% to somebody else. So you'll make a difference. If it's paying you 12 and you sell it at lower return to somebody else, you're making $6,000 profit, and you do that 3-4 times a year, you get 40% yield pretty easy. Bonuses. Let me be very clear. I'm going to give you some bonuses here, but those are only good for those that pay by Thursday, March 9th. So today is Tuesday. So you literally get to look at the website tomorrow or tonight. You did. Decision. Email me. You fund by Thursday. I'll give you the following bonuses. Number one, you can charge up to $25,000 on any or on a combination of credit cards. I am the only person I know that has been approved by merchant accounts for credit cards to have buyers charge real estate on a credit card. Unheard of in the US. And why? Because the trading company has been up and running for 12 years, and we've had the lowest disputes, the lowest problems, the lowest chargebacks. So I tell you guys, you want to charge $25,000 on your credit cards to get some points? With Southwest Airlines, $25,000 can get you a round trip free anywhere in the US. Hey, it's fine with me. I'll pay the points. Cost me 3%. Cost me about $500. Fine. You want to get going by March 9th? I'm going to throw in one additional payment. In other words, you got 358 payments you're buying. I'm going to give you one extra payment. On the California notes, that's $1,000 credit bonus I give you. On the Florida notes, it's about $500 credit that you're getting. So I'm throwing in an additional payment. In other words, instead of waiting till the whole process comes, you get an extra payment than what I have showed you on the actual PowerPoint. I will also pay your closing costs for those that buy by March 9th by 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll pay your closing costs, which is $450 with the transfer fees for the deed. So you get the deed in your name, you get everything. The service company calls you to help you handle the paperwork. It takes 10 minutes on the phone. You're all up and running, and you're able to get all these benefits. Plus, I'll guarantee the next 3 payments in writing. I am so sure now the end buyers we have are pretty good that I will guarantee you next 3 payments. If you add the benefits on this, next 3 payments, $3,000 guaranteed in writing on a California property. You're getting one extra payment as a bonus. That's $1,000. Charge on your credit cards. That's $500 cost from my pocket. I'll pay your closing costs. That's a true $500. $450 closing costs from my pocket. This is $5,000 of bonuses. But please understand, and I repeat, and I'm taping this call, this is for those that fund by March 9th. Please don't call me on the weekend or Friday, March 10th, and say, hey, Cherif, can I pay you now and you give me the same bonuses? So a bonus is a bonus, and it has an expiration date. I think it's pretty good as is, and throwing in all this extra bonus is just a nice thing that I can do. Anyway, I want you to go to youtube.com and put Cherif Medawar, just my name, and look at the success stories, how many people have notes, and the notes, they're very happy with the notes. Some people even had situations where they asked the end buyer to leave and turn it into a rental and made more money. Some people flipped them, made more money. Some people flipped notes. I have people that assign notes. I'm just a phenomenal way for you to make money and have some guidance in what you do. There is a video presentation on MedawarInvestments.com. And again, the notes are on buycashflownotes.com. Let's open it right now for questions. Ashley, do you have questions? Have you taken questions from people as I was speaking?
Actually, I do have a couple questions. Sergio is asking, on your example, if the buyer decides to refi their loan, how much would their refi loan be? Wouldn't they refinance the amount they owe?
Yes, well, they would refinance the amount they owe, but they owe $60,000, let's say. Let's say they pay for 5 years. So let's take a look at this PowerPoint here. So let's say somebody has been paying you for, let's say, 5 years, which is the average in the US, right? 5 years, then they refi. So the loan balance now is $57,000. 5 years from now, they started owing you 60. 5 years from now, they owe you 57. So this guy wants to refinance. So the question is, what if they can get the whole 57, right? That may be the question. What if the bank only, let's say the property appraises at now 70 or 65 only, and they can only get 50,000? Okay, they get 50,000, cash you out, and you can carry the other 7,000. It's all profit, but you already cashed out more than you invested in the beginning. You're literally getting 83,000 if they paid you in full. So if they give you 50, you just carry the note for 7. Is that the question?
He said yes.
Ashley? Okay.
Ready for the next one?
Yes.
What would be your direction of advice in incorporating this model with a liaison for a group of investors that have their own discount buyer criteria at 75 cents on the dollar in bulk? They have $2 million to start.
Well, then they need to go to the bank. Why would they need to come to me? Good luck to them. They want to come to me and not do the work, but get the discounts. Impossible. Impossible. Because, you see, if they want to get them at 75 cents on the dollar, that's when they go to the bank. But if they go to the bank to buy them at 70 cents on the dollar, on the current dollar, being a property that needs rehab, okay, what they will do, so let's say a property in California at 136 or 140,000, they'll probably get it at maybe needing rehab at maybe $70,000, something like this. But then they're going to have to spend some $30,000 fixing it, closing cost, rehab cost, commission to sell, staff to coordinate, and then they will be up to my cost. So, no, I mean, they don't need me at this time. They just need to set up something like the one I have. Or they just buy the notes from me. Now, there is a way I can do it. If somebody has $2 million and they want to actually put in escrow 10%, I can actually use my relationship with the bank and get the properties all done for them. I have the money. I have $5 million at any one time deployed in that program. So I don't need their money. They can put 10% in escrow to show me proof of funds. I will go coordinate the whole thing, get them the whole property package and everything done. And the people didn't pay. Very simply, the actual inheritors need to pay. And if they don't, you just got the property back. After whatever was paid is yours to keep.
Okay.
So it's a default if they don't pay. But usually people take over and continue. Yes.
Okay, next question.
What other questions?
How is the property...
And by the way, I'd like to add one thing. Let me just add one thing. If you are so concerned about that, you can actually also buy life insurance, term life insurance, in case the borrower dies. I've seen it done for notes, but you really don't need to do it for that program. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Next question. How is the property tax determined on the California properties?
Okay, in California, they look at the latest sale. So usually we try to have it assessed at less than $100,000. And when we sell and carry the note, we don't record the note, so we don't trigger another tax reassessment. So what happens is we show that this is an installment sale, so we just register the actual agreement, and it gets assessed as a property rehabbed, right, less than $100,000. We keep them all less than $100,000 for the appraisal with the tax assessor.
All right, here's another one. How do you arrive at the note value before you flip it to use at a 72% discount? Do you first appraise the property value professionally? Would a conventional bank give you theoretically the same loan amount?
Okay, yes. It is actually very, very difficult to keep doing what I'm doing because imagine I have to be able to buy the property at a certain price, fix it no more than X price, and have the total make sense for the market value to then be able to discount it and give the students a specific 12% return. So this only works for me because I buy in enough quantities in the same areas from banks. So how I do it is I figure out, I back the numbers into it, whereby I look at what the rental is in the neighborhood. And if the renter is, let's say, $1,200 for 3-bedroom, 1-bath homes, then I work my numbers backwards. $1,200, if I sell the property, tax and insurance will be X, principal interest will be Y, then the note amount, I can only sell it at $140. The property will only sell at $140. Let's look at comparable sales. Do property sell in that area at $140? Yes, then I can do it. So we were very careful where to choose to make the numbers work correctly. And then we back into it. It doesn't work every time. And when it doesn't work, I just end up holding the property a little bit longer, like the one you saw, I held it for a year. Because when I hold it a little longer, what ends up happening is the income coming from the property offset any overages I had. That's the beauty about my system. Very hard to lose if you're doing it in the volume I'm doing.
All right, next question. Do you see the refi market getting better now at providing loans?
Not at all, no. I think the banks, as a matter of fact, here's what's happening now. It's going to take, I would say, 2 years. And the reason I come up with 2 years is Fannie Mae just announced that the remainder inventory they have in foreclosure for homes, single-family homes, they're trying to now work a rental program with the big financial institutions. So they're going to turn the foreclosures into rentals and rent them. So once they do that and we have absorptions and we have all that settled, then the banks would have cleaned up their balance sheets and then refinancing will start. But it's going to take at least 2 years. We're in 2012. I venture to say it will take till 2015, so I want to say even 3 years. And since I'm talking about Fannie Mae, you can mark my word, they will fail miserably trying to actually rent their properties. They are clueless at what they're doing. Rental programs never worked for these properties and will never work on single-family homes. Single-family homes are to be flipped and creating notes and financing, not to create rentals. Rentals for big commercial. All right, next question.
All right, can you please elaborate on the foreclosure versus eviction and which contracts are signed with the occupants?
Okay, the contract signed with the occupant is the contract for deed. It's also called land contract. When you keep the deed and you're telling people this is a contract for you to comply with certain payments over a certain period to get the deed, that means you have to make these payments, a contract for something. The contract is for deed. That means contract for ownership. You, the seller, keep the deed. So Original Resources, my company, when I sell, I keep the deed in the name of Original Resources. So a student buys it from me. I transfer the deed to the student. It costs $450 to do the transfer and recordation. It goes to the student's name. But somebody's in the house making payments to get that deed. Now, since they don't have the deed and they have a contract, if they default, they're in a breach of contract. They no longer have right of occupancy. They are in breach of contract, so they get evicted, not foreclosed on. The only people that get foreclosed on are people that actually bought the property, got a loan, and also got the deed. You see, when you buy from the bank, when you actually buy and get a loan from the bank gives you the deed and lets you record it. And they record a lien as a first mortgage or first trust deed against the house. That's when you get the deed, when the actual end buyer gets the deed. We don't give them the deed, so we evict and not foreclose. And that's a huge, powerful positioning that I would have been able to use nationwide for any and all the students.
All right, next question comes from our good friend Beth Wood. She said, after the end buyer has paid for about 2 years, how can she help them refi?
Oh, great. The best thing is call a local bank in the area, Beth, and just call local banks and tell them, listen, I have somebody who's been paying for 2 years, would like to help them refinance. Can we set an appointment? Here is their credit. Here is what. You are literally a lender talking to another lender. You are just like lenders call lenders and they just sell billions of dollars. You're selling just one note to them and telling them, somebody want to come in, want to refinance, can I set them up? And and then see what happens. With 2 years history, that's very good.
All right, next question. Cherif, how often do you resupply your website with additional properties?
You know, I used to put a lot on the website. I try to keep it 10. I think maybe we have 15 or 20 right now. I don't like to put a lot because what ends up happening is people get overwhelmed. People don't know how to choose anyway, and it's practically, you can't really choose from just looking at a blue house or red house. So we try to keep it updated once a month and keep the properties. We put pending or sold or whatever. So I try to keep 15 to 20. But if you want to buy 10, or if you got a deal like the person that said 2 million and all this, you can email me directly and we can work it. We can make it happen.
All right, next question. Are the notes recorded with the county in California?
You can record them. You can record them definitely, or you can also, it's called register them, but you don't need to. And actually, if I record them, what's going to happen is it's going to increase the comparable sales in the area, because now everybody's going to see I'm selling them at 140. So everything is going to move up, and I'll become my own competition. And so I prefer when I buy, I keep them at the low price. I show low prices, low comps on Zillow. I want it to be so low in the neighborhood that I keep getting the low prices, fix it nice, and once it's fixed, people will pay the 140, 135. They will not hesitate. That's why there is constant confusion between what the comparable sales are and how come people paid you more. Well, you can't compare an ugly, dilapidated home, boarded up, with the one I fixed up, completely rehabbed, habitable, and nice. So I don't like to record and show, and I have the right not to, because it's a seller carryback. But you can record them. Some people like to record them. You can record them. It's perfectly fine.
Okay. Next question. Prior to purchase, can we visit the property inside before buying?
You're not buying a property. You're buying the financing. It's already occupied with people making payments. Can you knock on somebody's home and say, "Hi, I'm the bank. I'd like to go inside, take a look at your home"? What if Bank of America comes to your home tomorrow and knock on your door and say, "Hey, listen, you know what? We decided to buy your note from Chase Bank, and I want to take a look at, do you clean your bathrooms? Do you have a curtain?" It's not going to work. You can go see it from the outside, but you're confusing buying discount mortgage notes and the financing against the property with buying homes and trying to flip them. You want to buy homes? You can buy homes, go inside, and fix them up yourself and all this. You can see it from the outside. I don't think we've tried one time in Florida to go in to take pictures because we wanted to do success stories with some of the end buyers that were paying and very happy, and they just it didn't sit very well with any of the end buyers.
All right, next question comes from George. He says, can you please go over again how you come up with the note amount value?
The note amount value, comparable sales. What is rehabbed in the neighborhood, and what similar home would sell for in a conventional sale in the neighborhood? In other words, the note amount value is the selling of the price. In other words, if I sold this house at $60,000, it's because the neighborhood on fixed homes is selling at $60,000. There's no mystery to it. I cannot sell it at 60 if I can sell it at 70, and I will not sell it at 60 if the neighborhood is 50. Just won't sell. And that becomes the note amount because they put very small down payment. Once I carry that note, I then discount it for you to be able to get 12% interest. So your risk is minimized. It's secured by property, and it's people that have their best interest in mind, which is making payments to build their credit, to build equity, and to benefit from the upside.
All right. Baldwin asks, can we resell the note you sell to us at a discount?
You sure can, but you wouldn't sell it at the same discount. You will sell it at lesser of a discount. For example, let me just be more specific here. Let's actually use a calculation here. This note that I'm showing you here, you would sell it, it's a $60,000 note. You buy it from me at 12% interest, you'll pay $42,716 with the closing cost $450. Okay, so let's say you do it by the 9th, you have no closing cost, and you got an extra payment, all the good stuff. So you turn around and sell it to somebody else at 10% interest, you'll be selling it at around $47,000. You see the difference? So if you give them less return, you'll be collecting more for the note. As a matter of fact, let me calculate it exactly. Let's see here. I'm using a financial calculator, so give me 1 second on this one. Okay. Actually, you would sell it at $50,000. So $50,013. So this one you would buy it from me at 43. If you show it to your neighbor, the whole packet that you will have, and say to your neighbor, look, here's the history they have paid, like the history I showed you. Here's the history they have paid for 6 months, and they're paying, and the note value is 60,000 originally. Right now it's 59 something. You will discount it to 50,000, and they'll be getting 10%. There is a financial calculator. You can go to medawarinvestments.com. I have a video presentation, and I have 19 minutes showing people how to calculate on a financial calculator. 19 minutes, you will master these calculations. It's not so difficult. You can always email me, or my office will tell you what the amounts are if you want to flip it. And we actually coordinate the paperwork for those that want to flip the notes. There's a small fee the service company charges, and they can coordinate all the paperwork, the transfer, the taxes, the escrow, the whole thing.
All right, next question. Do we buy the note all cash, or is there a financing option?
Well, if you have a credit card, you can put $25,000 on your credit card, and you buy the rest by check or deposit. You deposit directly in my Wells Fargo bank account. You go in, you sign the contract with me, email it to me. You go directly to Wells Fargo, deposit, email me, I deposit it, I verify, and you're all set. And then we start transferring the deed over. If you need financing, then you need. This is not the program.
All right, next question. On average, how much renovation does Regional Resources spend on one property?
Oh, great question. California properties can run around $25,000. The actual Florida ones, 15 to 20. It all depends what it needs in Florida. So Florida sometimes are just we got to do the 4 points inspection, which is the roof, the plumbing, the electric, and the foundation. Otherwise, they won't let us sell it. So it's I know it's crazy, but we almost spend in Florida as much as California. California around 25, Florida around 20. Say these are reasonable numbers.
All right, next question. I noticed the note loan amount is for about $136K on a property in Sacramento, and you say that we are buying that note at a discount at $97,000. But Zillow is showing comparable homes in the neighborhood as low as $77,000 and some at $97,000. So this person has two questions. If some homes sell as low as average of $87,000, how come we can buy the note at a discount of $97,000? Where's the discount or equity when we pay $97,000?
Oh, that's the first question?
Yes.
Well, if you compare a vacant foreclosed home, if deed of rehab on the market listed at, you say 77 to 97, against the one I rehabbed and made it livable and nice, of course there'll be a huge difference. I mean, let's just, for a second, work the numbers, okay? I mean, I'm doing this all day long, so let's work the numbers. Say you buy a vacant, maybe even boarded up home in Sacramento, around $87,000. Like he says 87, this person, or she says that, 87. It will cost you a minimum of $25,000 to rehab it. You're right there at 112. Then calculate your closing cost in and out, your holding cost, which is property tax and insurance. Now you're up to 117 or 120. Okay, add the resale commission, and now you're at 125 to 130. So your break-even point is the market value for a fixed-up home. You see my point? And I know what the next question is going to be, right? He's going to ask, so how am I making money?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, here it is. I mean, no, I don't lose money, all right? Because the only way to beat those numbers and create some room to make profit is, of course, to do two things. Buy directly from the banks and buy in bulk, which is volume of properties, preferably in the same area to fix them up simultaneously. You see, my cost becomes lower on the purchase and closing cost. I pay less for the rehab when I'm doing them in bulk. And since I sell easy terms, I have lined up people with no commissions on the way out. All I have to pay is some staff to coordinate the entire thing, and I have the best staff. This is, I'm telling you, this This is a fantastic opportunity for the investors, for the students, because if they try to do it one at a time, it's very, very difficult. Cannot get these numbers. And it gets confusing when you look at comps. Then it gets confusing when you buy a property and you say, well, how on earth am I going to fix it and still make money? By the time I fix it, I'm higher than comps, I'm higher than this. So I get the huge discounts. It has taken me a while to get to the level I'm at in terms of performance and results, but this is just how we do it. And you can copy me. I have everything wide open. You can buy one note, get all the paperwork. The paperwork alone is worth $8,000 to $10,000 with attorneys. Just to get the proper paperwork for how to do a land contract in the state of California cost me $8,000, that contract, for all the ins and outs and all what could happen in the state of California. So anybody can buy one note and copy me, and I invite them to copy me. Heck, the more people get into programs like this, the more the market will pick up again and everybody's happy. But yeah, if you're going to compare my fixed up home to a dilapidated boarded up home, you can ask any realtor in any market in the US. There are two prices, one for a good home and one for foreclosed, empty, bent up in shape home.
All right, Cherif, we have just a couple more minutes for questions, and then I just wanted everybody to know any questions that are left over, we'll make sure to email you your answers tonight. Next question is, at one point you mentioned you'd like to do some commercial, to do this with commercial property. How is that going?
Well, okay, there is $372 billion, according to several websites, in loans coming due for commercial properties. I'm eagerly awaiting, with all the relationship we build with the actual banks, doing these REOs, all the relationship we built doing my private fund, the MIXIF, that many of you have participated in, and we've been really buying actively the high-end homes in San Francisco and San Mateo. We're waiting, and believe me, according to the banks, they say nothing will come to fruition until the last quarter of this year, once all these loans become due. And the Federal Reserve created some guidelines on the banks where they're not able to be so flexible, and they will have to start calling some loans that are on very good properties. I'm very specifically interested in two types of properties, the shopping malls and the hotels. Don't send me any deals. Believe me, there is no way you can beat what I do directly with the banks. But I assure you, once the opportunities come about, everybody will be involved in. I want people to do the deals. And, this program was set up literally for the students. I could wait a little longer and sell the notes instead of putting end buys, I can just sell the homes rehab through realtors in many neighborhoods. But working with the students and growing with everybody is just the way to go. So hang in there with me. Commercial is coming around the corner, but I want everybody to know the first people that will be involved in the commercial will be the people that have been involved with me before in my private fund, the MIXIF, and had bought notes from me in the past. Those will always have priority, as well as the students that took the special events in Puerto Rico and Cancun. Those always get the first calls. Some never actually reach the rest of the students. And until I get enough volume, it's not going to be posted anywhere.
All right. How long will closing take? Can we do an ABC transaction and sell the note for less of a discount than we receive immediately?
Yes, once you fund the note, you can do. We did a double closing with one of the students in California. Well, he literally drove into the seminar, walked in, and my first break, he came over. He said, "Cherif, I have somebody lined up." I said, "Well, at the same price?" He said, "No, they're going to pay me $9,000 more." So what he did is he literally filled out the paperwork, and we did the closing once. He paid, but he got paid more, $9,000 difference. And we did all the paperwork with the other person. So it actually saved him another $450. And so it's very possible if you line up the other person and you get their money and it's ready to go, but the person doing the contract with me is the one that got to close.
Does the county inspector sign off before you sell the note?
County inspector, not in the counties we deal with here. We had that happen in some counties in Ohio. For example, Ohio, very difficult state to do business. You have to have a representative from Ohio. You have to have a city inspector approve. So it all depends where you do business. I did in 35 states, and I can tell you all roads led me back to the beautiful state of California. Geez, I have tears in my eyes.
All right. What locations do you see yourself going anywhere in the next few months besides Florida and California?
Cancun. No, this is for business. Let's see. No, I actually have no interest in Arizona. I have no interest in Nevada. These states will take at least 3 more years just to have a normal level inventory. Texas is too big and too spread out, and anywhere in the north is too cold, and dealing with snow is a nightmare. So really, if I am actually hoping if I expand it, I'll expand throughout the state of California. I have students that said that they would love to participate if I have notes in San Diego. We got people standing in line for Los Angeles. But remember, the numbers don't always work out so easily throughout. And I don't want to go to some places where it's just way out in the boonies. So I stay with bigger cities. I stay with good, next to good schools, good jobs and all this. I mean, Sacramento, was hit very hard. One of the hardest cities hit in the state of California. But it's the state capital. And it's very decent neighborhoods. I'm not afraid to walk in there and do this and that. We've done deals in Detroit, Michigan, where we had the worst snow ever in the history in 2009. And it was very difficult for the program, and I ended up losing on a lot of homes. But because I'm able to provide value for the students, we were able to continue, and we were able to actually be fair with the bank, and the banks were fair to me, and things worked out. So, no, I will only expand Florida and California. I don't see anywhere else.
All right, next question. I would like to get a note within my 401k. How do I proceed?
401k, you can borrow up to $50,000 or 50%, whichever is lower. Once you borrow, you can buy a note, and then you get the income, and you're actually paying back your loan from your payroll check back to your 401k. If you have an IRA account, an individual retirement account, self-directed, you can actually use IRAservices.com. They're from San Carlos, California. Again, IRA, www.iraservices.com. They're very good. They're inexpensive, and they know my program. Also, Provident, IRA, Provident, Provident, IRA.com. They're from Nevada. Those are pretty good. They know my program. It has to be self-directed IRA, and then you can, we send them the contract. They know discount notes. They know my program. And you can just fund it through the IRA.
Same person asked, what credit cards do you take?
Ashley, you can answer that.
We actually take all credit card, Visa, MasterCard, and American Express.
Okay. For the $25,000 for real estate, we can take American Express as well?
Yes, we can.
Good. So instead of don't leave home without it, we can say you can buy a home with it. Okay, very good. I have a gentleman in the name of Zach, and Zach may follow up with any of you that I haven't heard from. So if you get a call from Zach, yes, he works with me. He's an executive. He's a business manager there, and he works under Ashley. And if you have questions, he can answer them. I also have on the MedawarInvestments.com a whole section for frequently asked questions. And I think I have maybe 30 questions in there with full answers on why notes are good and how you can work them, etc. So I look forward to making a deal with you by Thursday, March 9, 4 p.m., and we can move some notes and we can make it happen. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best.